What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Mock Draft Monday video. It is Matt Bruening here. You can follow me at Sports Fanatic MB, as you can see right down below here. I'm bringing you guys the M&M Mock Draft Superflex 1.0. We have not had a chance to do the Superflex draft, and we wanted to do one technically before we got into the combine. It did drop earlier today on the website. So, again, just a reminder, we did do this before the combine hit, but I will talk a little bit about the combine and some of the players on how well that they played. And then obviously now we have some stuff coming up. If you guys are following this, there will not be a Mock Draft Monday video next week because we might have some stuff going on the YouTube channel. I suggest you guys check in if you guys are fans of the site, if you're subscribed to the site. There might be some stuff happening on Monday. So hope you guys are able to tune in. I'm sorry. And outside of that, though, we will be back with another Mock Draft Monday video after that, where we will really kind of be diving into how players have changed and the narratives have shifted because of the combine. Again, this Superflex 1.0 draft was done before the combine. I wanted to release it today, not really smartly putting together the combine was already going to be over with. Again, this is the M&M Superflex Rookie Mock Draft 1.0. All right, so as you can see, we've got the first round laid out here, and we switched picks back and forth again like we did in the last one that I dropped on last Monday. Matt Fox got the first pick around this time, and with it being a super flex draft, he went Malik Willis. Malik Willis, 1.1 guy, my goodness, quarterback out of Liberty. He has a ton of upside, as we all know. He's kind of been moving up and up the charts, right? Like, a lot more people are getting really in on him. They're really excited with his tools and what he can do. And Matt said at this point, QB is a little bit of a dice roll. Willis could be the most upside. If someone moves to get him early in the first, he vaults up Superflex rookie draft boards. 100% correct on that. He wouldn't be the first quarterback I take, and I am a little bit worried about him just in the fact that we've heard it from scouts the past week or so with everything going on at the combine that he's likely going to have to sit for a year or two. And I truly believe that. If you guys saw my rookie profile video on him, I said the same thing. Definitely has a lot of tools and a ton of upside. But I am a little bit worried about how soon he starts for you. But if you believe in the upside and you're good at quarterback and you can wait a year, maybe two, he would not be a bad pick here at 2. Again, please, everybody, don't murder me in the comments. This happened before the combine. I went Treylon Burks. I do think he is one of the best wide receivers in this class. Now, obviously, he disappointed a little bit at the combine. We thought with his size speed combination, he's going to be an athletic freak. Didn't quite pan out that way at the combine. However, if you look at what he can do on tape, he's still a really good wide receiver. He's definitely a little bit raw. So, you've got to have that in there. Just like Malik Willis. But the upside that he brings you, I think, is fantastic. So I still stuck with Treylon Burks here. That put Matt Fox back up at 1-3, and he went Isaiah Spiller out of Texas A&M. He said that this isn't the most inspiring QB class. Those picks need higher quality players. Makes sense to take a swing at one of the best RB prospects. I believe that Spiller is Matt's RB1. He is not my RB1. We'll get to my RB1 here in a minute. Was dealing with a little bit of an injury at the combine, so he did not run. And I don't know even if he would have, it would have helped him much with, let's just be honest, with what Breece Hall did. Breece Hall, I think, put a nail in the coffin on who is RB1 in this class. But, hey, Isaiah Spiller is still a very, very good running back and has a lot of really great stuff on tape. That put me up at 1.4. And I did dive into the quarterback class here. My QB1, Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. He has yet to show us much since that injury in the bowl game. He had that high ankle sprain. He did say at Combine Week that he's 100%, so he is good. We'll likely see some stuff at his pro day. But at this point, like, why? Why risk it? Why do too much? Everything we're hearing is that he has done nothing but help himself by not participating in this stuff. I do think there's a realistic shot he's the number one QB off the board, and I believe in his skill set and his talent. Definitely much like the rest of this class. Some things he could improve on, but I like Matt Corral and his likely high-end draft capital. At 1-5, Matt Fox goes baby hands Kenny Pickett. Just kidding, obviously. There's been a lot of talk about his hands. He's got the gloves on there in that picture. I think it was Joe Burrow last year famously tweeted that he was going to retire from football because he wasn't sure how he was going to be able to hold on to the ball with his small hands. Obviously, Pickett's hands do come in smaller than that. And Matt said that it's a rough draft to forecast QBs right now, but in Superflex, QBs are premium. Pickett stands above the rest at the moment. So he's still high on Kenny Pickett. For me, it's not really the hands. I'll be dropping a rookie video on him probably later this week. Been caught up with a lot of stuff with the site, so probably won't be dropping on Tuesday like the rest of them have. But it will come out at some point in time this week. You guys will see my thoughts on him, where I kind of graded him out on the film. That put me at 1-6, and I took my RB1. I think if you can get him here in a draft, obviously it's a smash. Breece Hall, he is amazing. He's been my RB1 throughout the process. He dominated the combine this past week, and he's dominated college football. He's been the best running back since being a freshman in his past 3 years in this draft class, in my opinion. And we saw it with the 40 time. We saw it with his athletic testing. He's got the burst. He's got the long speed. I really don't think there's any questions for Breece Hall. I was saying it beforehand. I'm going to continue to say it. He's one of those guys that's just a set and forget in your lineup for fantasy football every single week. He may not give you Christian McCaffrey numbers or Dalvin Cook numbers, but you know what? If he's putting up top 12-ish points every single week, you're going to be really happy with him. There's a lot of rumors now with what he did at the combine. He could jump up into the first round of the NFL draft. I don't know if I see that because we've just seen kind of relate. The NFL is fading those guys out of the first round. But if he does, he's definitely going to be the first running back off the board. That put Mr. Fox back up at 1-7, and he went Garrett Wilson here. He said he's unsure of the QBs here, so going back to a positional value, he's targeting Wilson. Would not be surprised if Wilson is the first wide receiver off the board in the NFL draft and possibly in rookie drafts after that. Ran a lot faster than I expected him to. He ran even faster than Chris Olave, which I was not expecting. Measured in same hand size as Treylon Burks, so we know how much of an athlete he is. Great contested catcher and great body control, and having those just like meat hooks for hands that can catch anything. Garrett Wilson had himself a pretty good combine. Likelihood that he's going to be the first wide receiver off the board, in my opinion. Him or possibly Drake London now over Treylon Burks, at which case I think he goes higher than 1.7, but we'll see, right? This is a pre-combine mock draft. We will definitely do a post-combine mock draft here soon. At 1-8, that put me back on the clock, and I took Sam Howell. Again, super flex. I'm valuing these quarterbacks, and I think Sam Howell is still really good. I still believe in his ability. He's expected to be one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, and I'm not sure I expect him to be drafted or where I expect him to be drafted, but I believe in his ability. Rumors still all over the board, right? Early first, mid first, late first, second round pick. Who knows? Sam Howell, I think, is an absolute stud. Really, really good quarterback. I think very safe floor and still has a decently high ceiling. I'm willing to take him here at 1-8 in a super flex draft. There's some wide receivers and running backs I can get later in that second round I'd be fine with, especially because while I think the top end of this class is very heavy, I don't think the second and third tiers really are that separated by talent. And so if I can get a top end QB here and then maybe a wide receiver or running back in the second round, I'm golden with that. So I'm taking Sam Howell. That put Matt Fox back up on the 1-9 spot, and he took Drake London out of USC. He said some seem split on London, but he could get the draft capital. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. Amazing season last year, and still pretty good season as a sophomore as well. Obviously hasn't done much for us combine-wise or testing. I don't know if he will at his pro day. But I think he's going to be he's almost locked in, I think, at this point as a first-round draft pick with what he's done. And at that case, he's going to be drafted in the first round of rookie drafts. 110. Really, really surprised that this guy fell this fall, especially after the combine weekend. He had Kenneth Walker, the third out of Michigan State running back. Weighed in better than we thought at the combine. Ran faster than Breece Hall. He's going to be 1 to 3 on everybody's boards. I've seen some people touting him as RB1, 2, and 3. Right now, just based on the grades, he is RB3 for me by a sliver behind Isaiah Spiller. I have no problem with you taking him higher here. If you took Breece at 1-3, Kenneth Walker at 1-6, and then Spiller here. I do think all three of them are going to be good. Breece is separated for me, though, based on my rankings and my grades. He came in about 4 points higher than Spiller and Walker at the end of the day, and that kind of separated him a little bit for me. So I'm really high on Brees, have been for a while, but I would not mind, especially with the value here. 110, getting a guy like Kenneth Walker, I'd be all in on that. 111, Matt Fox goes Jameson Williams. He said, with the top of the RB position gone and not loving QBs in this range, he's going back to the wide receiver well once again. Jameson Williams, we know he hurt his ACL, tore his ACL, unfortunately, in the national championship game. There were talks he was going to be the number one wide receiver off the board before that. I don't know that I necessarily believed in that, but I do think he's a first-round talent and likely is still going to go in the first round. Now, with that knee injury, you may not get him to start off the year, especially with him being a rookie. You may not get much out of him at all this year, but moving forward, I think he's a great talent to bet on. I'd be happy and thrilled to get him here at 111. Last but not least, me with the last pick here in the first round, I took Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. Showed out well this weekend. Came in and measured in heavier than I thought, and weighed in heavier than I thought, and measured in taller than I thought. A lot of rumors when he came out, bailed out of the Senior Bowl, that he was going to be like 5'8", 5'9", comes in at 5'10", decent weight as well, and produced very well in the 40 and in the drills. Jahan Dotson, he's going to be a really good wide receiver at the next level. Getting him here at the last pick in the first round, I am thrilled with. All right, that puts us here at the second round. That puts Matt Fox back on the board, and I swear he's going to have Trey McBride in every single league that he's in, because he drafts him in every single one of these mocks right around this area. He said, looking for value, he's jumping on McBride here. I believe that Matt thinks he's going to be the number one tight end in this class, number one tight end off the board. I don't know yet. I'm still kind of like torn on what exactly is going to happen here with Trey McBride, but he's definitely going to be a very, very good tight end. All right, at 2 here, we got myself taking Kyren Williams. And look, again, this was before the draft. Was not expecting him. I thought maybe he'd come in close to 200, if not over. That did not happen. Ran a horrible 40, but tape-wise, tape speaks for itself. He's a really, really good running back, but I do think with his size and how slow he ran his 40, his draft capital is just not going to be there, unfortunately. So he's likely going to fall massively in rookie drafts and in mock drafts. Very interested to see how far he falls in our mock draft after the combine is, or after the combine, which is already over. We do our post-combine mock. At 2-3, Matt Fox took David Bell, another guy who necessarily didn't have a great combine. He said, given, again, the QB landscape, he's going back to the position where it's producing great value right now. And David Bell, I think he's probably a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 for fantasy. Going to be a very good wide receiver, but did not produce well. And I would not be surprised if he unfortunately kind of falls down this list here. All right, at 2-4 for me, I took Chris Olave. Decent combine. Looked a lot better when we thought he ran like a 4.39 or 4.28, whatever it was. That obviously did not happen, but still ran really good 40, looked good out there in the drills. Chris Olave is just a very good, smooth wide receiver, and I expect him to produce at the NFL level. 2-5, Matt Fox, John Mechie III. Obviously, we're not going to see a lot out of Mechie because he also injured himself, but he said, assuming the drafter here, at 1-5, earlier in the round, he took Kenny Pickett. Now pairing him with a good wide receiver in John Mechie. I like that a lot. Mechie, I think, is a little bit underrated. Not really going to test, not going to do much. I think he's a guy that you can probably get later than this in your own rookie drafts, in your home rookie drafts. And he's a guy that I'd be willing to bet on, even in the middle of the second, end of the second, because I think he's got a lot of value. At 2-6, I took my guy, Desmond Ridder. Had himself a good combine. Looked good in the drills. Ran a good 40, tied Marcus Mariota for one of the fastest quarterbacks, I think actually the fastest quarterback. Again, I've said it over and over again. Like, I know Desmond Ridder is not Trevor Lawrence. He's not Justin Fields, Trey Lance, but he's got tools and he definitely has some upside. We saw Jalen Hurts finally get that chance, right? Like, they knew he was not a great passer, but because of what he can do with his legs, Philly Philly put him in there, let him start, and have given him the reins, and they're going to let him see what he's got. If a team does that for Desmond Ridder, he's going to be fantasy relevant. That's always been my argument. Like, I know he's inconsistent passing the ball. I know he struggles with accuracy, but what he can do with his legs and his arm, because he does have a good arm, if he's given a starting job, he's going to be fantasy relevant, guys. Like, it doesn't matter if he's a good quarterback. It doesn't matter if he's Blake Bortles. If he's fantasy relevant, that's all that matters for us. There's a lot of talk about Washington being in on him. If he goes to the Commanders in the second round, maybe sits behind Heineke for a couple games, then comes in, like, I'm all in on Desmond Ridder. I think he's a good quarterback, and he played well here. Matt Fox at 2-7 went back to the quarterback well, took Carson Strong from Nevada. Said mid-second feels the right time to take a swing on the last of the QBs that could have relevance, particularly in Superflex. Had an okay day there passing the ball, didn't participate in any of the drills, and that makes sense. Like, if I'm being honest, why? We know he's not that mobile of a quarterback. Control the narrative. Go to your pro day. If he does run the 40, he's going to get a little bit of home cooking on that 40. Same with some of that drills. Why not just save everything for your pro day and control the narrative for you to help yourself and boost your draft capital? At 2-8, I went Rachaad White, who had himself a day. Likely he's going to be going in that spot that Kyron Williams went earlier, maybe even sneak into the first round of rookie drafts. Rachaad White had a great combine, one of the major winners, and we already know he's a great receiver as well. Really good rusher. Rachaad White, he's shooting up boards. Props to my man Felix Sharp. You can find him at Sharp Review on Twitter. He's been talking about Rachaad White being a breakout for like over a year, and I did not believe him. I thought it was DeMonte Trainum there at Arizona State, and I was wrong. And props to him. Rachaad White, just rocket ship emoji to the moon, right? Next up, that puts Mr. Fox, and he took George Pickens, another guy who had himself a really good combine, ran really well. I expect him to shoot up boards here as well. I can't imagine he goes this late. Probably going to go in that 2-1, 2-2, 112 range would be my guess post-combine. We wanted to see what he ran, had a good 40, looked good as well in the national championship game. George Pickens was wide receiver one for many coming into this year before he tore his ACL. At 210, that puts me on the board, and I went Sky Moore out of Western Michigan. Looked great this weekend. Great route runner, good speed. I'm betting 100% on upside here. Zonovan Knight, Zamir White. There's a couple running backs that I thought about here, but at the end of the day, I'm going Sky Moore with his upside. At 211, Mr. Fox goes Damon Pierce out of Florida. He said, RBs are always in demand at fantasy, so it makes sense to use a pick in this range to take a swing. Not a bad swing either, right? We know he's a really good pass blocker, so he's going to be on the field. He didn't look great in some of the drills and the 40, but overall, he's gotten a lot of hype since the Senior Bowl. Damon Pierce likely going to get drafted, and I think is a good player to take a stab on. At 212, I was torn between my guy, Abram Smith, who I do think a running back out of Baylor, Zonovan Knight, running back out of NC State. Two guys that I think could be good, guys I'd be willing to take a dart throw on, but I'm going to take Khalil Shakir, wide receiver out of Boise State. All upside here with Shakir, and as long as he gets a draft cap, I think it's going to be a good bet this late. So that'll do it for our 2-round Superflex Mock Draft 1.0. Like I said, we wanted to do this before the Combine. I didn't have a chance to release it before then, though. It's going to be dropping here on our Mock Draft Monday video. No video next Monday, as we will be announcing some stuff on the website. So make sure to stay tuned into that. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that bell icon so you see when all this stuff goes live. You don't miss the major announcement coming on Monday. I promise if you like Campus to Canton Devy, you're going to love what we've got coming to you guys on Monday. Thank you guys so much for checking out the channel. Again, subscribe and hit the bell icon if you guys don't mind. And we will talk to you guys again very